I'm deeply grateful to Rab David and Sandina Penhasik for having invited me to come to speak to all of you on this very, very important topic, which is called the rewards and virtues of Hachnasat Kallah. I would like to share with you a din in Shulchan Aruch that is so fascinating, and I'm sure that many people are not aware that it is in Hilchot Tzedakah and talks about the importance of this mitzvah. In the Yerdea Reish Mem Tes Siv Tes Vav, it tells us, Gaboy Tzedakah, the Gaboyim of Tzedakah, the ones who take care of collecting Tzedakah, Sheyesh Biyodam Moi Tzedakah, if they have money of Tzedakah that they can dispense, Yasiu Bahem Besulais Aniyais, they should marry off with this money poor girls. And listen to this expression, She'ein tzedakah gedola mizu. There is not a greater tzedakah than marrying off poor girls that are looking for funding so that they should be able to get married like everybody else. What I find incredible is that the Sefer Avas Chesed, that is of course written by the Chavetz Chaim, in Chelik Shlishi Perik Shishi, writes like this, Leich no, the Chavetz Chaim is begging us, please, go, re'eh, and see, ma de'isa b'yerdea simen reish mem tes. And he directs us to come to this halacha about gabay tzedakah, that have tzedakah, and that there's no tzedakah greater than that, than Hachnasat Kallah. And he quotes from the Chachmas Adam, Klal Kuf Mem Hey. He says, especially Yesaimais, daughters that are missing a parent, it's so important. And he says, because the busha of a girl is so great when she's not married. And it's greater when a girl is not married, the greater the embarrassment than a young man that's not married. And that's why he encourages us, and he encourages the Gabay Tzedakah to get involved. And he says, V'nogu kamay ayorais lasois chabura. There are many cities that have groups, and they call it Hachnasat Kallah groups. They make these projects of Hachnasat Kallah, and he says, even if a girl has a father and mother, but they're poverty-stricken, he says, what a tremendous chesed it is for the fathers and the mothers. And listen how he writes, Shehem boichim umitztarim. They are crying and they are in pain day and night. Why is that? Because their daughters are not married. And then he writes, Ubal hagumulais, the one who pays all that is good, Yeshalem schar, is going to pay those people a wonderful reward for getting involved in Hachnasat Kallah. So we see here not only from the Din of Shulchan Aruch, but we see how the Chavetz Chaim is stressing to get involved in Hachnasat Kallah. And so therefore I would like to introduce to you a wonderful project in Ramat Beit Shemesh called Likrat Kallah. And during the last 16 years, the people that are running Likrat Kallah, they have helped 5,279 kallahs. It's unbelievable. In the last 16 years, they have helped 5,279 kallahs. And I'll tell you something. They have a website, and it is so beautiful. Go on this website, helpjewishbrides.org, and you will see in a touching way how they help all these people. This was started, as I mentioned before, by David and Sandina Penhasik. And when they started this, there is a organization in Ramat Beit Shemesh called Laman Achai, a great organization. They call themselves Smart Chesed. And they have a great, great slogan. And they talk about, give a man a fish, then you feed him for a day. Teach him how to fish, and you're feeding him for a lifetime. And what Laman Achai does, it's not only that, as they say, they don't just have a handout, but a hand up. They guide people in finances, they teach them budgeting, they help them with career guidance, and they help children get the social help that they need and the academic help that they need. And they recognized what David and Sadina did. And they said, your project of Likrat Kallah, we would like to have that part of our organization. And that's exactly what it is today. What a beautiful project of Likrat Kallah. Now, it used to be, before COVID, that Likrat Kallah was able to have parties made not only in Eretz Yisrael, but in other places as well. And people would make parties and they would raise money, and of course it would go for the Kallahs in Eretz Yisrael. And then people stopped making these parties because of social distancing. So they started making Zoom parties. And of course that was helpful, but it certainly didn't raise the amount of money that was raised when people actually were able to show up at the parties. But if any of you today that are watching this want to have this chus of what the Chavetz Chaim is talking about and what the Yerdeya is talking about, I'll give you a number and I'll repeat it twice. You could call in Eretz Yisrael and you will be able to get information how to make a Zoom party for Likrat Kallah. It's 011-972-2999-4463. Again, 011-972-2999-4463. And what they have also this year, as they've had in other years, they have a Chinese auction. And the Chinese auction raises money, and you could buy many beautiful things in this auction. And of course, the money goes to Likrat Kallah. Again, if you want to see where the auction is and how to get onto it, it's lkauction.com. LK, of course, stands for Likrat Kallah, auction.com. And whatever you buy, the money, the profit, goes to Likrat Kallah. And what a beautiful thing. Now, Sadina told me that years ago, she started this. She was looking for shidduchim for her own children. And she heard Rebbetzin Rothman say something that really struck her. And Rebbetzin Rothman, her husband was the great Rosh Hashiva in Eretz Yisrael. She once said, if you want Hashem to help you with your Kallahs, then you've got to help Hashem with his Kallahs. What a beautiful thought. Of course, we know Chazal tell us that the Rabbeinu Shalom is the Avi Yisayimim, the Avi Yisaymais. And so therefore, we are helping Hashem's children when we help, especially when we help Yisaymais, that they should be able to get married. And if you want to have the schus, not only of marrying off your own children, but even the refuah shlema, as you will see in a moment from the story that I'm about to tell you, this is the thing to get involved in. Again, let me tell you how Likrat Kallah works. Once they have the money, they have Kallahs come to a certain place, and the Kallahs can choose 6 gifts, and they will be able to take it to their homes. Now, among the many things that they can choose from, but they choose 6 of them, is either a set of dishes, a set of silverware, crystal candlesticks, a set of knives, a Shabbos tablecloth, a set of drinking glasses, and then an electrical appliance. It could either be a kettle, an electric kettle, a toaster, an iron, a hand mixer, whatever. But of course, you can understand that for a poor girl, these things are very, very special. And as I said, over 5,000 Kallahs have been able to take advantage of this and have been helped in the last 16 years. Now, I want to tell you a beautiful story. A story that will show us how precious this mitzvah of Hachnasat Kallah is and what kind of great schus it is. Many years ago, there was a woman who called Sadina and Reb David and said that she wanted to make a party for Likrat Kallah. But she had one caveat. She knew very well that usually the parties raise money for many Kallahs, and of course, then the Pinhasics would have the Kallahs come and they would be able to choose the gifts that they want. But this woman wanted only it should go for one Kallah. All the money that was going to be made from the party that she was hosting would go only for one Kallah. She wanted to outfit this Kallah totally as much as she possibly could. And of course, the Pinhasics, they realized, look, if we want to have this party made, the only way that it can be done is if we agree to this. And so they agreed. And then eventually, after the party was over, and the money was made, this woman explained to the Penhasiks why she wanted it that way. And she said that there was a little girl in America that needed a transplant. And I believe that it was a liver transplant. And what happened was they were waiting so that she should be able to be called to a hospital and that she should be able to get that transplant. And what happened was that, sure enough, shortly after they had the party, that she was able to get the transplant. They had not been able to find one for the longest time, and the family was beginning to get desperate. But Baruch Hashem, they did eventually find the liver, and the girl, Baruch Hashem, was flown down to Florida. She had the operation, and today, Baruch Hashem, she's perfectly healthy. And you know something? Rav Kreisworth told me, it's not like I heard it from anybody else. Rav Kreisworth told me that the Stipler once told him that which we daven in the morning. Elu dvarim she'adam oicha pereseim ba'olam hazeh. And it says this way. It says, Biko cholim, Hachnasat Kallah, and Levoyas Hameis. Biko cholim, Hachnasat Kallah, and Levoyas Hameis. And the Stipler explained to Rav Kreisworth, why is Hachnasat Kallah put in there between Biko cholim and Levoyas Hameis? Because if somebody's holding by Biko cholim and they don't want it should go chas v'shalom to Halvoyas Hameis, somebody's sick, we don't want them to die, then put it right in between Hachnasat Kallah. Raise money for Hachnasat Kallah. What a great schus that is for Refuah Shlema. That's how the Stipler learned the pshat in that Mishnah. And of course, Rav Kreisworth told me that he had been very ill, and this is the advice that Rav Kreisworth got from the Stipler. He raised tremendous amounts of money for Hachnasat Kallah, and then eventually he had a refuah shlema. But I want to tell you one more story, and with that we'll end. I love this story. There was a fellow who wanted to give a donation to Likrat Kallah. He was a photographer. And so what he did was that he said that a family would be able to get for themselves, if they win this raffle, if they win his prize, so to speak, a free session for family photos for their simcha, whether it was a bar mitzvah, a bas mitzvah, a wedding, whatever it was going to be. But he would give it to them free, and the money that people paid to get this situation, to get this prize, so to speak, that money would go to Likrat Kallah. So sure enough, there was a woman, a single woman, who had a bar mitzvah boy, and she won the prize. And wouldn't you know it, he took the pictures for the family, and he himself had been divorced. And then at the bar mitzvah, of course, he met the single mother, and eventually they got married. So look at that. He did a wonderful thing for Likrat Kallah. He gave of his profession, and he ended up with a kallah. How beautiful is that? So it's a schus not only for refuah shlema, but it's a schus also for kallahs. And so again, go on helpjewishbrides.org. Helpjewishbrides.org. You'll see the work that Likrat Kallah does. What a schus it is. Let's all get involved wherever we are in the idea of Hachnasat Kallah. As the Chavetz Chaim writes, the Baal HaGmulais will pay us. The Baal HaGmulais, the one who pays all good, will pay us our just reward. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you all for listening.